This presentation is on the biography of King Faisal bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, but for your sake and my sake, we're just going to refer to him as King Faisal or Van. On this presentation, we will be focusing on who he was, his early life experience and education, early political experience, what did he accomplish during his kingdom in Saudi Arabia, his assassination, and his legacy. King Faisal was the king of Saudi Arabia from 1964 through 1975. Faisal was the third son of King Abdulaziz. His mother, Tarifa, was a member of the Alishal family, which produced many Saudi religious leaders. King Faisal was born in Saudi Arabia in 1906. He was the third son of the kingdom founders King Abdulaziz. He lost his mother when he was 5 months old and was raised by his maternal grandmother at the house of his grandfather. His grandfather taught him the Quran and principles of Islamic by the age of 1. King Faisal learned horseback riding and politics from his father. He developed high value in principles and was known for his courage, decency, and intelligence since childhood. He was delegated by his father to represent him internal events at a very early age. King Faisal continued to serve his father, nation, and people through his life. As one of King Abdulaziz's oldest son, Prince Faisal was given numerous responsibilities to consolidate in the governmental field at a very early age. Prince Faisal was appointed Viceroy of Haiza in 1926 following his father's takeover of the region. Prince Faisal was President of the Consultative Assembly and the Minister of the Interior. Faisal visited several countries in this period, including Iran, Poland, Russia, and he also made early contact with Saudi Arabia and the United States. In 1953, he was appointed Crown Prince by his uncle King Saud. A power struggle ensued between King Saud and Crown Prince Faisal, and on December 1916, Crown Prince Faisal resigned as a prime minister in protest, arguing that King Saud was frustrating his financial reforms. King Saud took back his executive orders and named somebody else as the prime minister. In 1962, Crown Prince Faisal received enough support within the royal family to reinstall himself as the prime minister for a second time. Less than a month before this event, Crown Prince Faisal in the United States held a secret meeting in Washington, D.C. with President John F. Kennedy. The same year, Crown Prince Faisal announced a plan known as the 10-Point Program, which included an economic, financial, political, and judicial principles that Saudi Arabia should follow to be developed into an industrial country. He followed his father's footsteps as he built a solid relationship with his people. He earned their respect for being both fair and firm. He became empowered in 1960. One of the earliest actions Faisal took as a king was to establish a council to deal with future succession issues. The members were 2 of his uncles and 5 of his half-brothers. King Faisal issued an edict that all Saudi princes had to school their children inside of the country. This had an effect that made the population upper-class families to bring their sons back to study in the kingdom. Faisal implemented a policy of modernization and reform. He also introduced the country's current system of administrative region and led to the foundation of the modern welfare system. In 1970, he established the Ministry of Justice and inaugurated the country's first 5-year plan for economic development. King Faisal acknowledged his country's religious and cultural diversity, which included the predominantly Shia in the east, the Asia in the southwest, with tribes affiliated to Yemen, especially among the Ismaili of Najran and Jizan, and the Kingdom of the Hassan, with the capital of Mecca. Slavery did not vanish in Saudi Arabia until King Faisal issued a decree for its total abolition in 1962. About 1,682 slaves were free. The political analyst Bruce Wright argues that the U.S. began to raise this issue of slavery after meeting with King Faisal and the U.S. government President Roosevelt in 1945. He attempted to limit the power of Islamic religious officials, protesting against supports that Israel received from the West. He led the oil embargo, which caused the 1973 oil crisis. Faisal successfully established the kingdom's bureaucracy, his region, his significant population among Saudi Arabia, despite his reforms facing some controversy. On March 25, 1975, King Faisal was shot point blank and killed by his half-brother's son, Faisal bin Musaid. Prince Faisal, who was captured directly after the attack, was at first officially declared insane, but following that trial showed the medical examinations declared that he was sane when he shot the king. After his death, King Faisal's foundation organizations were established, all of them in his honor. They also built several different documentaries about his life that you can find on YouTube or even on Netflix. In 1976, the king inaugurated a construction of a mosque on his honor too. In 1962, Crown Prince Faisal got enough support within the royal family to install himself as prime minister for a second time. Less than a month before this event, Crown Prince Faisal and the United States John Kennedy held a secret meeting in Washington, D.C. in December 1962.